All right, so now we're to the year 2005, and that year you introduced Bird Slide, which is a type of deterrent that uses the concept of 45-degree angle. And of course you want to have a material that's weatherproof and that you can glue it down or attach it in a simple way. Flex, the Bird Slide is that version. Let me start that again, okay?
Well, why don't I just start talking about the year and what we did?
All right, go for it. Yeah, we'll chop that out.
So the next catalog we put out was 2005, and there was a couple of innovative products in here. One is called Bird Slide, and one thing that I'm proud of at Bird Barrier is that we worked with developers and often installers who were developing their own products, coming up with ideas, and instead of copying their products and robbing from them, we would welcome them in and continue to develop the product with them and then pay them a royalty.
That's great.
And Bird Slide is one such story. A guy here in Southern California named Randy Lippy is a pest control operator, and he developed this Bird Slide and did a really nice job with it.
Wow.
And we started carrying it, and over time, it probably wasn't as good a fit for him because he was still doing well in pest control, and to get out and sell a bird product nationwide, it takes what we have. So we ended up buying it from him. We bought the product. So Bird Barrier now owns Bird Slide, but it was developed by him.
I see.
And so there's a few other products in our repertoire, including like the Sparrow Trap Door that was done by another developer. So we love the creative nature of the industry. So many technicians in pest control, wildlife, building maintenance contractors are very hands-on, very creative thinkers, problem solvers. And so we love the fact that that they're out there doing that, and if it works out right, we'll bring that product in-house and take on from them all the manufacturing and inventory cost and all that, and pay them a royalty based on the sales of the product.
Yeah.
So Bird Slide was great, and then that year we also introduced Dissolve It, which is a product that has become huge in our industry because it, as you know, with optical gel, is the best way to clean up a bird mess. Bird droppings can be really hard to clean. They get very hard caked on, hard to pressure wash, hard to scrape, and Dissolve It is a live enzyme that goes in and eats up the material and softens it so it becomes quite a bit easier to clean up. And we could, of course, talk about that product for hours, but we're not going to in this.
Well, no, I think the question viewers would have though is that did it already exist and then somebody else had it and then you championed it for them as well?
Yeah, it did. There's a chemical production company out of New York that makes all kinds of specialty chemicals, and I don't know if we found them or they found us, but we private labeled an enzyme they were using in kitchens to clean up grease and all kinds of other messes, and it worked really brilliantly. Or they might have tweaked it a little bit, which they have done actually for Dissolve It Max. So Dissolve It Max is a much more concentrated version. Dissolve It came in a gallon, and Dissolve It Max we wanted to ship out quarts and pints to save money on freight, and then mix it up at the customer's office. So wow. That's been a nice addition as well. So
the next year, 2008, we're at final version of Bird Shock that you talked about with the grounding issue. So
well, I don't know if we had that yet. Let me see. This is a 2008 catalog, and the Bird Shock was on page 16. And nope, still not the insulated base yet.
I see.
But we'll get to that here. We did develop these custom straight. This connector here is a straight connector and also turned into an angle, a corner connector that you could you cut these little pieces in and you could actually angle it. So wow. We've moved on from there to a straight and a corner piece, but that was cool because you could angle it at any angle as opposed to a 90.
That's great, just seeing all the variations.
So that was the 07.
Better and better.
08 catalog.
Now that year also you came out with Eagle Eye, and I just want to point out something that I think is really important. They say in business the best way to succeed is to help other people succeed. And rather than steel products like Eagle Eye is another great example where somebody had created this product, a reflective source, but with a lot more science involved. And did you see this product come into the world first, or did they reach out to you first? Like, how did Eagle Eye come into the world of bird barrier?
Yeah, Eagle Eye has been a really great story for us and the developers. There's a family down in South Africa, John Kotze, and his son, also John, who developed this thing in the probably late 90s, early 2000s, and in South Africa. And they used it agriculturally, and they used it on buildings, and it worked. They said it worked well. They came up to meet us in the States, and they pitched us on carrying it, adding it to our catalog here in the U.S. And we were interested, but we were very skeptical. It just seemed unlikely that it would work as well as they said it did work. So we took it out and we did several jobs with it, and we became believers. And there's a lot of science to it, and there's specifically, most importantly, is the positioning of the Eagle Eyes on the building, that you need more than one. Usually you need 4 or 5, or sometimes even more, depending on the size of the facility. And these guys held our hands. They would help us with positioning. We'd send them the address. They'd send back a photo, a satellite photo. Now we had the internet. Satellite photo of the building with the positioning of the Eagle Eyes, and if you put them in these places, it's going to work. And so that product since then has evolved. They've continued to tweak it and improve it, and add on some alternatives, some additional support products to it, like the propeller and things like that. And it's a wonderful product, and now it's unbelievably successful. We can't keep them on the shelves.
Yeah.
It's relied on and trusted by lots and lots of pest control companies around the country. And so, again, we didn't develop it, but the partnership with the manufacturers down there and what we brought to the market up here turned it into a success here. And now it's the largest market in the world for Eagle Eye is the U.S., thanks to that way that we work together with those guys.
Wow. Okay. 2009. Bird off gel, Avahaze, rat out gel, oval control. So now things are really escalating. It's like every year during this phase, you're probably being approached by a lot of people too, knowing that you've got this unique company and they want to be part of it. Probably word is starting to spread that that you could get your product into the hands of the operation of bird barrier, and it's going to help sell the product, but proof of efficacy. So that's a pretty big year for the company, because all these had an impact for at least for a while. Of course, oval control is still in the mix. Rat out gel is still in the mix.
Yeah, it was a big year. Bird off gel there was a lot of gels on the market where people applied gels with a tube onto a building, but they were all petroleum based and had polybutane in them, which turned black and really stained buildings. So we were approached again by a developer who had put together a gel made from organic materials that were not as sticky, so they couldn't entrap the birds. They still would irritate the birds, but they wouldn't stain the building. They could be washed off.
I see.
So we carried that gel for a while. It never became a big success, and we were quite happy to drop it once the optical gel came along, which we'll talk about more. That's still a few years ahead. And then in 2011, we went and for another catalog logo, a new logo. This is our 3rd logo now.
And that's been probably, based on that math I'm doing, that's probably your longest standing logo now. It's a good logo.
Yeah, we've had it 12 years.
Yes.
And so this catalog, there was nothing new in this catalog product-wise, just the logo. So that's, and it's really fun for me to look through these and just see how we evolve with different graphics and colors.
Yeah, it's starting to take on the look of what is today's catalog. And what I really like is each year, it's like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. There's a lot of things that just have become mainstays of the whole catalog, parts that have reached their perfect balance of use, and they continue to be used year after year, and they mesh well with new things that come into the picture.
Yeah.
2013, we jump ahead a couple years, and now you're getting in the solar panel exclusion and sparrow trapdoor that you mentioned earlier. That's a device that was developed by a guy who invented. And then wind-powered Eagle Eye was, right, as you mentioned, Eagle Eye, those developers are constantly tweaking their products to bring better innovations. But the solar panel, talk about that a little bit. The market for solar panel was, were you already trying to solve it using other deterrent methods at this stage?
No, we weren't. But let me just focus on the cover of this catalog for 1 second. This was the 2017? No. Hold on.
Let's see here.
20. This is 2013.
2013.
So this is the 2013 catalog, and this was the first time we put like an actual project on the cover and made it look like a magazine. So this was a really big job that was done at a hospital with the bird shock, and so we put some of the highlights of the job right here on the cover, so you can see we called it Job of the Year. 1,700 feet of bird shock, 57 tubes of bird barrier bond, 5 chargers, 530 quick connects, 96 man hours, 0 birds. So this was a really fun one to work on, and so in this catalog we added the solar panel exclusion, as you mentioned. So that was another interesting case. So solar panels were starting to become more prevalent on homes.
Yeah.
That's a very significant problem. And a guy calls us up from Denver, and he was a solar panel installer. He put up solar panels, and he was messing around with a method to, it was obvious to use a metal mesh around like a little fence, but it wasn't easy to connect to the solar panel. So he came to us with a clip he was developing that you clipped onto the solar panel, and then it went through the mesh, and then you slid this little disc on, and it locked in. He was actually using zip ties as a prototype when he came to us. And in fact, I have a picture, or I have a model of his first one and what the product turned into, which we can show here.
I see.
So he came to us, and he was unable to pay for the injection mold that needed to be bought. And so we basically, same thing like I mentioned earlier, we partnered with him, we made the product better, we took on the responsibility of paying for it and bought it and paid him a royalty, and then eventually bought him out completely as well.
But the clip itself, though, was something that a lot of people don't realize this, and that they'll still try to just screw things into solar panels, drill holes and all these things, but this guy coming from that industry knew that you're not supposed to penetrate in any way, and you're not supposed to attach direct metal to metal because of warranty issues, and so that caused this need for a unique way to connect it. So
yeah,
and still to this day there's variations, but we still have that same kind of clip available that still protects the warranty, even though some other versions are out there.
We do have it still, and we have a metal version and a plastic version, and it's been a great product. It's been knocked off. It's all over Amazon. There's 50 companies selling the same exact thing at much cheaper prices. So that's been difficult for us. And then one of the most important products to that for that year, if I can find it in the catalog, is the sparrow trap door.
49, it looks like.
Yeah, it's on page 49.
Sparrow trap door. So a method for safely trapping sparrows in warehouses and that sort of thing. Man, they still create a lot of problems.
Yeah, this was a guy who was actually a birder. He would catch small birds as he was an enthusiast. He wanted to find a way to catch birds without hurting them, so that he could, have them in his house in a cage for a while, then release them or study them or whatever. And he came up with this door and then this trap, and he called us and said, "Are you trying to get birds out of buildings and things like that?" And so same thing. We got together, we made the product a lot better together, took it on, and we pay him a royalty every month still. And one of the most amazing things about that trap was we were at a wildlife convention in Myrtle Beach, with one of our sales guys, Ray, 7-8 years ago. And this was in a convention hall with high ceilings and lots of activity going on. And there was one sparrow flying around that everybody was talking about. Like, there's this sparrow.
This is a call for bird barrier, please.
And so during lunch, one of the wildlife guys came up to our booth. We had a sparrow trap door there, and it has a little audio chirp sound. And he just set it up and put it in the corner of the room. And we didn't even try because we didn't think it would catch the bird. And like right in the middle of lunch, this bird took off over here and it just glided by everybody in the room. Everybody saw it, and it went over and landed on our trap, and bam, the trap shut.
Oh my gosh.
And it caught this bird in front of like 100 people.
The ultimate sales demonstration.
And we had a line of people 50 long after lunch that were coming to place orders, and it was,
that's cool.
It's pretty amazing.
What a great.
Well, there is a crossover into pest control to some degree. A lot of wildlife companies and pest companies try to exclude rodents. So if you can put up the proper building modifications and mesh and make repairs on a building and keep rodents out, that's still preferable. You're not having to put out poisons for the next 10 years or traps, continue to trap them. So it does cross over. There's a term early on in the pest industry that we got involved. It's called IPM, Integrated Pest Management, which is trying to reduce the amount of killing and the amount of toxins and chemicals and try and do things that are more friendly and more humane. And so bird control definitely fits into that. But there is a product out there that actually still kills birds. So I think most people would rather not kill them or hurt them if they can help it.
Yeah.
So
very interesting. Now, where are we in the scale here of the history? 2014, you mentioned the insulated base and the bird shock. We touched on that earlier. So all these years later, you're still looking back and finding ways to improve existing products. But then you also, in 2016, is that the next catalog you have, or?
Well, here is the anti-arcing base that came out. So
that was the improvement.
See, so the bottom no longer has thread going on it to sew it through, and you can see in this photo right here that the flaps actually open back. So there you see the thread, and then the flaps close over it, and
you solve that problem. Of course, it causes you to retool and have to incur some extra cost, but now the product is improved, and you're helping everyone sell a more valuable tool.
Yeah. So the nice thing about extrusion is the tooling is not expensive compared to injection molding. Yeah. So it was easy to change the shape. So that was that, and then another interesting development came along in our 2016 catalog was the introduction of Tree Shock, which was a similar, sort of like bird shock, but it was tubular and able to go up in a tree and go up and down and turn left and right and follow the contours of a tree limb, and that was a really fun product to develop.
Yeah, and that's it's interesting because now we're in the realm where I entered the picture with the company, and I remember these being brought up to speed, all these newer innovations, but these are all variations on earlier deterrent. Basically, you had some of the key components of shock track, and you just modify it to use in other places. It's sort of like the bird spike then being changed, modified so it could be on gutters, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then that same year, it looks like you came out with black net rings, which is another improvement. Always looking for ways to improve. But then we get to the realm of, and then again, I was there when the next product in the next year, 2017, of course, 2016, late in the year, we saw optical gel for the first time. And tell me about the first inklings of that. I was here, but what was it like for you to hear about this particular product?
Yeah, optical gel was really, it has been a huge product for us, been a big success. And it's essentially a small plastic dish with a goopy gel inserted into it or applied into it. And there were companies approaching us with products just like this. So as this product got developed in Korea, probably in the early teens or even late aughts. There were several companies dealing with it in Korea. I'm not quite sure of who was doing what or who used to work with who or how that came about, but we'd been sent some samples from some companies over there, and we'd tested them and had not been very impressed. And just continued to, we always try things. If it looks semi-reasonable, we'll give it a try, because you never know. I was at a pest show in Germany, in Frankfurt, and came across the guy that sold what we now sell as optical gel. He sells it in Europe. He's an English gentleman, and someone told him that I was there, and so he found me and cornered me, and for about an hour showed me an unbelievable array of videos and photographs of this product actually working.
Yeah, proof of efficacy. Right
yeah,
there.
And so, I mean, I didn't even want to meet with him. I said, I don't have time. I've got to have a beer with someone in like 10 minutes, and it's German beer, which is really good. So I'm, you know, but he kept talking, and I kept listening, because I could tell that. And
he believed in that product.
He really believed in it, and he made me a believer based on what he had on his laptop. And so I came home, and we got samples, and you had joined the firm prior to that, I believe,
yeah,
or around the same time.
It was, yeah, I joined months earlier and concluded that, you know, we were looking for something in particular that was powerful, simple to use, but most importantly could solve nesting spots.
Right.
You know, and that that was my one unique thing about the timing of it all.
Yeah, so we brought it home, and then we went out, mostly you and I went out and put it in many places. Yeah. We tried it on lots of different applications, and we didn't have failures. Yeah. So we really, we weren't willing to put our name on it until we were 100% sure that it was worthy of the bird barrier name. Like, we really guard the bird barrier name now with a lot of pride. We do not want to sell products that fail. And so Eagle Eye and optical gel are two that we were very skeptical of, just because they didn't make sense necessarily. Yeah. Like, you know, spikes make sense and netting makes sense, but optical gel did not make sense. But I think after 3 or 4 months, so we brought it out at the Pest Control Convention in Seattle in 2016.
2016.
And that was the official launch of the product to the pest control industry. And it has... It's done well.
It's been
very large part thanks to your shepherding of the product, and all the training that we've done.
Yeah, I was like the gentleman that you met in England. Once I had so much proof of efficacy and video proof of it all, I was just eager to tell people, because it did so many things for pest operators, and such a much more simplified, lower cost, but powerful. Really, science behind it all has been fascinating. Then eventually getting it into other countries and everything. Everybody knows how big that's been. Yeah, I mean, it's been inspirational for me to watch just in the short time how much has changed. But the stories, even from these customers, the early customers that you developed, they've been part of it. They feel like they're part of something special, because they've watched where the company has gone and how it's grown, and how many businesses have succeeded and grown because of it. And they really appreciate the effort of constantly looking for ways to improve. So, that's never going to stop, as you mentioned, and we've got things on the horizon that we have in development. There's some really cool things over the horizon. Anything that you can say about some of the things you think that are headed our way in the future?
Well, one of the biggest problems out there in the bird industry is birds hitting windows, and birds dying hitting windows.
Birds striking windows.
It's essentially, 1 billion or more birds a year die hitting glass. And there are lots of solutions out there, but they usually involve applying films or dots or stripes or some kind of pattern to the glass. And we're working with a technology solution that I don't want to say too much more about, that is already proven well in the field, works in the field,
yep.
And could be a massive product success for us, and more importantly, to save billions of birds.
Yeah.
Because we want those birds to go on someone's ledge and make a mess, so then they have to buy our product. So we'll keep the birds from dying on the glass, and then they'll go on a building and they'll need more of our products to keep the birds off of that ledge.
So the future looks pretty bright. If we can stop having the glass kill the birds, think about all the more birds there will be that help solve in the future.
We are such givers. And then there's one other product that we're developing with someone in another country that is, I think, got lots of potential. It'll keep birds out of large facilities like warehouses, food processing, sensitive areas where there's no way to install netting, there's no way to keep the birds from coming in the doors. Things along those lines. It's a technology solution also, and it's very, very interesting and has a lot of other benefits to the building in addition to keeping the birds out. And that's about all I'm going to say about it right now, but we hope to have information on that sometime in this year. Actually, in 2023, we hope to introduce this, and we'll definitely be putting it up and using it in a couple buildings as a learning and prototyping and testing environment.
Yeah. And
that's about all I can say about that right now.
All right. I have one last question though before we go. I want to end it with this here. I think the viewers, this might be a question a lot of people want to know is, 30 years, that's a long time. I mean, be in business, develop a business. What has been the thing you like most about running this company and taking it through from where you were just this right here? It started with coil, and now we look at how far this has come, and just it's amazing. What makes you happiest about the business?
Well, I'm really happy and really proud of the team at Bird Barrier. I love all the employees, everybody from the warehouse to sales, customer service, operations. The people here are phenomenal, and they're all great to work with. We have a really wonderful family here, and that's important. And the same is said of our customers. We've got the best customers. I have so many good friends of mine that sometimes I go travel around, I'll have dinner with a customer. We don't even talk about bird control because we've gotten to know each other so well and enjoy each other's company that we just really have a lot of other stuff to think about or talk about. And I'd say I'm mostly, on top of those two things, I'm very proud of the products that we've developed and my personal role within them, like shaping things with my hand, breaking, cutting, drilling, developing, sketching, trying to come up with things and solutions with other people that are smarter than me and specialists in different fields, and bringing them together and figuring out a way to come up with a solution. So I'm really proud of that. We have some patents in our name. To have a patent approved by the U.S. Patent and Trade Office in Washington, D.C. is, it's not easy. And we have 3 or 4 patents, which I'm proud of. And so, just the whole thing. I never would have imagined that this industry even existed when I was out looking for opportunities. Sort of stumbled into it, and very thankful that I did.
Yeah.
And it's been a lot of fun, and I still feel like there's a lot to do in this industry. We have a lot of opportunities ahead of us. We have a lot of hills to climb. We have a lot of problems that still there isn't a great solution for yet that we're going to continue to work for. And most importantly, I want this place to be a place that you and everybody else in this business loves coming to work every day.
Oh, and that's the thing I will say. I honestly, I can look at people in the eye and tell them that every day I come here, I'm happy to come here. It's never drudgery. Sometimes it's very tiring because there's a lot of success that's happened, and there's a lot of demand, and I'm very proud of that. I'm proud to be so dead tired from doing all this stuff because I'm so excited to come and do it. I know it's just going to do nothing but grow and grow in the future. So when you're part of something that unique, it makes you very motivated. And we have customers that are like that too, not just the people that work here. So yeah.
Well, thank you, Michael. This has been it's been a lot of fun, Cameron, going down memory lane here with you, and it's brought up some fun memories, and I hope it's been enjoyable for the viewers here as well. And
the entire history of Bird Barrier. Congratulations on 30 years, and Here's the 30 more, right?
I'm not sure about that. I'll be 91 then. So between now and then, something probably has to change, but I'm not sure what that means. But
No, it's exciting to look ahead, but I'm glad to be part of it. Yeah.
Thank you, and
Okay.
thank you. If you're one of our customers who's helped us along this path, we love you, we appreciate you, and we can't wait to see you again soon.
All right, we'll see you all at the next broadcast. Stay tuned for more innovations from Bird Barrier ahead.